Howdy, folks. Today we're looking at Whiz Comics #2 in Facsimile from 1940 in Fawcett. If the advent of Superman in the first issue of Action Comics lit the pilot light for the medium, it took almost 2 years for the pot to start boiling. How else would you describe the winter of 1940? It wasn't just DC that was expanding precipitously. Superman was an immediate hit, but even an immediate hit still took months to follow up, and even longer for the rest of the market to metabolize. For instance, the first issue of Marvel Comics, with the debuts of the Human Torch and the Submariner, hit the gates with blinding speed in the late summer of 1939. Sadly, the modern Marvel Comics hasn't been quite so enthusiastic about reprinting their Golden Age material in facsimile. In fairness to Marvel, they've always been a bit chary about reprinting more of their Golden Age material, due both to the historical firm's slightly more variable relationship to quality control, as well as their reputation for being significantly more racist at the time. With that said, however, our specimen today is a facsimile of the first appearance of Superman's biggest rival, none other than the Big Red Cheese himself, Captain Marvel, another alumni of the winter of 1940, not quite 2 years into the era of the superhero, long enough for the boom to be recognized by the rest of the market and the formula to have become entrenched. And there was indeed a formula. Anyone picking up the first run of Action would instantly recognize this product, featuring the superpowered cover feature up front in the magazine, with the rest of the issue devoted to the adventures of various also-rans, one of whom was even a magician in a tuxedo. So while we can certainly lament the chain of circumstances that led Fawcett to being sued into oblivion by the erstwhile national publications, it would also be strictly false to assert that they weren't following a very strict application of an already successful formula. Just as with Action, the lead feature introduces us to a superpowered champion and avatar of the dispossessed, young Billy Batson, a literal orphan plucked out of obscurity and given the powers of the world's mightiest mortal when he speaks aloud the magic word Shazam. Creators Bill Parker and C.C. Beck provide a much more satisfying origin story in this first episode than we have yet seen in the Golden Age. Billy's journey by magic subway car to the Rock of Eternity remains a truly haunting sequence that outpaces just about anything else on the stands at the time. We meet Cap's first and greatest supervillain, the nefarious Dr. Sivana, and even see the means by which Billy uses his powers to leverage his way into a real job as a newsman. As a story, it still holds up. No surprise that Captain Marvel became as popular as he did, premised as it was on a far more direct kind of power fantasy. Of course, the rest of the issue is more of a mixed bag. Ibis the Invincible is pretty fun, and the Spy Smasher stuck around a bit, but that's a pretty steep fall before you reach the likes of Golden Arrow and Dan Dare. Not to be confused with the enduring British space hero, the Fawcett Dan Dare was a PI who disappeared entirely after a couple years.